Today we're taking notes on Module 1.4. We're going to be multiplying polynomials. Mostly we're going to be multiplying binomials by binomials, but really we can multiply any polynomial by another polynomial as long as we remember to distribute all parts from the first to the second and keep going in order. So the notes again tonight are a little bit written out at the top. So it shows a good example for each type of multiplication that we're doing tonight. I'm going to do some of the examples at the bottom before I have you pause to do the practice. So I'm not going to really talk about these examples. I'm going to talk about the word FOIL. Hopefully you heard it last year. It stands for first, outside, inside, last. And what it does is it helps you make sure that you remember to get all parts when you're multiplying this. So if I'm looking at this first example, the first terms in each are the x and the x. So that's what you should multiply first. You get x squared. Then the outside terms would be the x and the negative 7. So when you multiply those and distribute that x all the way through, you get negative 7x. And then the inside terms would be this positive 3 and the x, the inside terms. I'd get positive 3x. And then the last terms would be the 3 and the 7, the two last terms. So we get negative 21. So basically, it just makes sure that every single part of the first got multiplied by every part of the second. Same thing would be true in this second example where we took the x all the way through and then the 5 all the way through. The example on this sheet shows it being rewritten, which you're absolutely welcome to do. The only time you absolutely have to, hold on, gotta get back, have to rewrite is when you see an exponent outside of parentheses. You have to rewrite the entire group and distribute. Exponents cannot be distributed over addition and subtraction, over polynomials, only over multiplication and monomials. So you have to rewrite this as 3x minus 4 times 3x minus 4 before you ever begin, or you'll never get it right. Okay, so I'm going to do a few of the examples in the practice section with you, and then I'm going to tell you to pause the video and finish the rest of them and come back. So the first one I'm going to do is number 1. Okay, I need every single term in this first multiplied by every term in the second. So I'm going to remember my FOIL. First, x times x, x squared. Outside would be x times negative 7. I get negative 7x. Inside, 4 times the x is positive 4x. And last, positive 4x times negative 7 is negative 28. Now, just like we had to do yesterday or in class today, you have to combine like terms if you see them. So there's no other x squared, but the negative 7x and the positive 4x combined to become negative 3x. There's no other constant, so it stays negative 28. And that's as simplified as you can go. Once the parentheses are gone, remember, you're not multiplying anymore. You're just adding and subtracting like terms. All right, I'm going to skip to number 3. Number 3 has an exponent on the outside, so that means that I'm squaring this entire group. So I'm really multiplying 2a plus 3 by itself twice. That's what exponents mean. So I've got to, again, FOIL it out. All right, so first 2a times 2a is 4a squared. Outside, 2a times 3 is positive 6a. Inside, positive 3 times 2a is positive 6a. And last, positive 3 times positive 3 is plus 9. Again, look to combine and simplify. So those two 6a's in the middle will come together. There's no other squared term, so it stays 4a squared. 6a and 6a become 12a, and then there's no other constant, so it becomes plus 9 on its own. Okay, jump down to number 5. Okay, we're going to distribute every term in the first one by every term in the second. Now notice the first term is a binomial, but the second term is a trinomial, so FOIL really doesn't work. So you really got to remember that all we're doing when we multiply is just distributing all parts. This x has to go all the way through, and the 3 has to go all the way through. And then I've multiplied all parts of the first polynomial by the second, and I can be done. So x times 2x squared is 2x cubed. X times 4x is plus 4x squared. x times negative 8, negative 8x. 3 times 2x squared is plus 6x squared. 3 times 4x is plus 12x. And 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Now we look for like terms. There's no other x cubes. That's going to stay by itself. 4x squared and 6x squared add together to be 10x squared. Negative 8x and positive 12x add together to be positive 4x. And there's no other constants, so it stays negative 24 on the bottom. All right, now I'm going to jump down to number 8. The reason number 8 is a little bit trickier is because it's got two variables, but it's still just a binomial. So we're going to FOIL it. The x is going to get multiplied through. So x times 3x is 3x squared. X times negative y is negative xy. Now I'm going to take the y through. Y times 3x is positive 3, and I'm going to write it as xy because I'm going to think about alphabetical order. And then positive y times negative y is negative y squared. Now if I look, these are like. If I wrote this out of order, I would have to remember that yx is the same thing as xy, and those are like. So I've got 3x squared, negative 1xy plus 3xy is positive 2xy, and then minus y squared is on its own. All right, so pause the video. You have number 2, number 4, 6, 7, and 9 to do. When you're done with those, unpause the video and check your key. All right, so we're going to key number 2 right now. It's a binomial times a binomial, so we're going to remember to FOIL. First, 3y times 4y is 12y squared. Outside, 3y times negative 1, negative 3y. Inside, negative 2 times 4y is negative 8y. And last, negative 2 times negative 1, negative times negative becomes positive 2. Then we look to combine like terms. These two in the middle are like. So 12y squared stays itself. Negative 3 and negative 8 become negative 11y. And positive 2 stays. There's my answer to number 2. Number 4, I'm going to FOIL as well. It's just a binomial times a binomial. P times p is p squared. P times 6 is positive 6p. Negative 6 times p is negative 6p. And negative 6 times positive 6 is negative 36. When I go to combine like terms here, positive 6p and negative 6p in the middle add to be 0p. So I don't have any p's left. I just have a p squared and negative 36. Number 6, we can think about the process of FOIL, but remember when it's a binomial times a trinomial, we are distributing all parts of the first through all parts of the second. So there's a lot of multiplications. I'm going to skip down around here to give myself more space. 2w times w cubed is 2w cubed. 2w times w squared is 2w cubed. 2w times negative 4w is negative 8w squared. 2w times 5, positive 10w. Now we're taking negative 5 through. Don't forget the negative. So it becomes negative 5w squared. Negative 5 times negative 4 is plus 20w. And negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. And I kind of ran out of room, so I'm going to put it on the end there. Look for like terms. There's no other cubes. It's going to stay 2w cubed. Negative 8 and negative 5 are both w squared, so that gives me negative 13w squared. Positive 10 and positive 20 are both w's, so I get positive 30w. And then minus 25 is the final answer there. Right, 2 to go. Number 7 is a squared binomial. So we got to remember to write it over. That's the most important thing. Write this guy as m minus 8 times m minus 8. And then we're going to remember to FOIL. M times m squared. M times negative 8, negative 8m. Now the negative 8 goes through. Negative 8m, negative 8 times negative 8 is plus 64. Those do not cancel. Negative 8 and negative 8 is negative 16m. And I get m squared plus 64 as my final answer there. If the video cuts out on me in this last one, that's fine. It's a challenge. A squared times a, or a times a is a squared. A times 5b is 5ab.